people sometimes ask why it isn't going faster. It's like painting a house. It takes a long time to prepare the surface, but it doesn't take long to actually paint it.
Oil will enter the pipeline at a temperature of about 135 degrees. Because pumping and friction will keep it warm as it moves down the line, pipe must be installed above ground in areas where thawing might cause soils to become unstable.
The design was conceived that will allow us to build a pipeline above ground, and consequently our design today is such that the pipeline is 50% buried and 50% above ground. That by itself makes the pipeline a bit unique in that this is the first pipeline that will be above ground for this long a distance.
About 400 miles of the pipeline is installed on supports in areas where there is ice-rich permafrost. Permafrost is frozen soil that may be anything from solid rock to muddy ice.
In other words, do they drive Cadillacs? Do some of them have nice cars? Do they live in huge houses with servants? Or do many of them, are they people that we might pass on the street and might not even recognize them?
You know, it's very interesting that you would ask this question, because about 2 years ago, I was threatened by them. And many of those who have seen my previous DVDs know that I had to pull my website, do away with my Energy Non-Crisis DVD, and say a lot of other things. There were just a few things they said you can't say anymore. And if you do, we're going to do this and this and this. And that was not very pleasant, what they were saying. So I decided, in order to be able to continue to tell the masses of people in this world what I feel they most need to know, I'll back off on one or two things in order that I can tell you everything. Yes. And at the time, of course, I had to do all of these things. And it's quite interesting that you would talk about the elite in such a manner as this, because at that point, I looked to find out where these elite are living now. We're living in different times. We're living in difficult days. We're living in days when there are powers that are moving through this world that probably have never been seen before. And I decided I would look up some of these people. I know them. I know how to keep in touch with them. I know some of them that I can ask, where are the others? Stan, I was amazed. Not a one of them is living in a city. Not one. They all have moved outside of the metropolitan areas. Many of them live in very secluded places. They are out of the general run of things. They have protected themselves because they understand what is about to take place, because after all, they are the ones that plan it. So it's interesting that you would ask a question like that. For 35 years' time, these people have never told me anything that it did not come to pass. It happened exactly like they said it. Now, everything that you are going to hear and view on this DVD today, you can depend on the fact it is going to happen. It positively will take place. They will do it. There is no question but that they have the power to do this, and they will do it.
But sometimes their timetables are delayed or changed, but generally they get what they want, correct?
There is only one thing that will alter their program: the providence of God. And apart from the providence of God, what you are going to hear today will take place in the next 12 months. They control nations. They tell presidents what to do. They begin war. It's to their advantage. They manipulate currencies. They control your life and mine, whether we like to admit to it or not. And what you're about to hear today will happen. These people do exist. And apart from God stepping in, it will happen. Only a few hours ago, literally. I mean, this did not take place 6 months or a year ago. This elitist, 87 years of age, chaplain, I'm too old to care. He's going in for an operation in a few weeks. He may or may not come out. He said, tell the world everything. Just tell them. They've got to know. It's almost as if he was confessing everything that he wanted.
So he's a pretty good guy, really.
When you're facing the graveyard and you're an old man, you will do and say a lot of things that possibly you would not if you were in your 20s or your 30s. And that's exactly what he did. Now, that's the reason why I am in your studio today to make these 3 DVDs and a CD, is in order that I feel an obligation. I must tell you what this individual told me. I have no choice, morally, within my being. You can depend on it happening apart from the providence of God. It is all planned. They know this well in advance. They do not do it a month in advance, sometimes 6 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years. Many of the things you're going to hear in these 3 DVDs, and we're going to cover an immense amount of material because I'm not going to withhold anything. I'm going to give you his buzzwords in the course of these DVDs. I'm going to tell you about Dubai, and you've got to understand derivatives. Oh, please, I beg of you, go in. All right, we'll do that in the 2nd and 3rd DVD. I'm going to talk about war. They have it planned. It's already in the works. And you're going to hear some people talk about it. Well, all of these will happen apart from divine intervention. These things are planned. There's nothing. I need to say it again. You can't do anything about this. It is going to happen. There's only one thing that the average person that's watching this DVD can do, and that is you can make personal preparation for your household and for your dinner table. And this is why I'm telling you this, so that you can take action right now. And if a person does not take action, it's their own fault. I'm making it as plain as I possibly can with all of the inserts that we're giving on these DVDs, which I've never done before. You say, I know, the average person, I can already kind of think ahead of what you must be saying in your mind. You're saying, well, isn't there a possibility that these people could have misled you? Isn't there a possibility that maybe they told you some things wrong in order to discredit you? No, positively not. Why do I say that? They haven't for 35 years. Why should they start now? They were younger men back in those days, and they had something to lose at times by telling me some of the things they said. $147 a barrel to $50 a barrel.
That's a big statement.
Well, that's a big statement. It affected the entire OPEC crude oil world. Now, here, please understand, 87 years of age, going in for an operation in a few weeks. He considers me to be his chaplain. And he said to me, chaplain, tell him everything. So what you're going to hear, no, it's not wrong. I stake my credibility on it. It will happen exactly. This man spoke as if to say, chaplain, tell it. It doesn't matter. You've got to let the world know it. 2 years ago, crude oil prices, 147. Went down, as you said, to 34. They said it'll stay at 50. Well, that was one of the first things I asked him about. So I'm going to begin with the necessities of life. So much for the past now. You can look at my other DVDs and know more of the background if you wish, but let me begin with the thing that every person must have in order to live. Food and water. Oh, you mean he talked about things like this? He sure did. 87 years of age? Yeah. He understands what the average person has to have. And I was amazed when he got to this part because it was so startling. There is going to be, now please, I beg of you, try to understand this. Now concentrate. There is going to be no shortage of food or water.
That sounds good.
The grocery store shelves are going to be full. There will be plenty there.